watching history because this is probably the first time ever in recorded history or unrecorded history that a Jewish man has been sitting in a sukkah in Modi'in, Israel, with a Cherokee, North Carolina t-shirt on, giving an Israel update.
Oh,
What do you think? Is the chance?
yeah, that's true. There are some, hey, Mike, there are some who would say that this is a mixed metaphor. On the other hand, people would say that's kind of classic Chanoch. So that's fine too.
Well, I mean, you're bringing the
so
nations together, Hanok, because you and I have been to Cherokee together, and we know that at least the eastern band of the Cherokee has a very prominent Hebraic heritage there. So, you're just doing your part of the job to bring the nations back.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. I do, as many of my friends know, I have a special connection with the Cherokee Nation. I can't describe it. I've gone to the burial mound, the major one, and I've just been an emotional wreck. Hard to describe, elements of, but make a long story short, yeah, there is a connection. And of course, I'm thinking of, all my pals in Franklin.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Chag Sameach. I hope everyone's having a great Sukkot. It's very rare for me to actually, well, except for when we were under lockdown back in 2020, very rare for me to have this time in the Sukkah. It's usually a very big time for guiding. Turns out I didn't have work, and then my daughter Kira and my grandson were able to come. So it's been a wonderful family visiting time.
Great.
Probably for the first time in many years.
Wow.
So in that sense, it's been cool. And people, I posted pictures of my sukkah, and people like, wow, that's really intricate. Kids, it's prefab. It's metal poles.
Yeah, it is.
And they give you these, these walls here that have windows, that you roll up and down. This print is from the Temple Institute, as you can see. And there's fake fruit, hanging. So, and you can buy that, I bought that in Jerusalem. So I have fake nectarines, lemons, pomegranates, apples, figs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just kind of spoiled it because, I'm sure that everyone out there that's listening would expected that you had gone with your chainsaw out into the wilderness of Israel and cut down your own poles and, your own weaving.
The schach above me, which is a bamboo, I've had for 13 years.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully it'll keep lasting. We did get a tiny few moments of sprinkles the other day.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, where we'll be heading into the beginning of our potential rainy season. And it's funny, most of our listeners, if not all of them, are in situations where they've had to explain to employers or friends or colleagues that this is a holiday called Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles or Booths. I know of at least one situation where the delivery of the lulav came, and the person, the delivery person was like, I don't know what's in this box, but it says it must be inspected, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is, here you are in a situation, it was the same thing very much in the Jewish community that I lived in, that the world didn't know about Sukkot. Here, it's the reverse.
Yes.
And it's created some interesting situations. For instance, it's a very difficult time to guide because Israelis are on vacation.
Yeah.
So a number of years ago, I had the Masada Ein Gedi Dead Sea tour. And from Masada in the morning, we were unable to get into Ein Gedi. That on both sides of Route 90, the road was backed up so much that we just didn't have the extra hour and a half to get into the entrance. That's bizarre. Other situations, the dry cleaner reminding you, you've got to come and pick this up by Friday morning because we're closed all Sukkot. So it's unusual in that sense.
Yeah, and
Also unusual.
therein once again lies the reason we don't do a Connect Israel tour during Sukkot is because
Yeah.
the logistics of that tour are a nightmare.
Yeah, this is not the time of the year to come and tour Israel. And now this is where the kinder, gentler me slips back into being the guy that often tells people things that they don't want to hear. So here goes. For those of you who are upset with Mike and I because we don't have the Connect to Israel tour during Sukkot, because you're under the impression that you should only travel to Israel during Sukkot or Pesach, let me explain something to you. From our perspective, and I don't mean Mike and Chanoch, from the perspective of the Jewish people, the obligation to go up to Jerusalem to visit the temple has ceased until the temple is rebuilt. It should seem pretty straightforward, but in some cases it's not for some people. So I just want to be clear about that. It may be in their mind, they're doing an aliyata regel, they're doing a pilgrimage, but again, it's in their mind. We have more than a third of the mitzvot that can only be done when the temple stands, and that happens to be one of them.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if someone wants to go over for Sukkot, it's a great thing to do.
Fabulous.
I've been there during Sukkot.
Fabulous.
Wonderful time. But if you're going over, especially someone that's the first time tourist, whatever, going to Israel, this is not the appropriate time to go during the festivals. So
and I people there are times I can tell you 5-6 instances that I know of people from Europe and America who have come, people who consider themselves Ephraimites. They consider themselves somehow belonging to the people of Israel, one way or another, who said they felt compelled to come during Sukkot and they were disappointed. So what are you disappointed about? They had talked it into themselves that some Jewish family would spot them on the street and invite them home to their Sukkot, kind of like Ushpizin +3 or 4.
Yeah.
And they specifically are talking about the Haredi, the ultra-Orthodox community, many of whom do not speak English, many of whom would not want a stranger, and I would even be considered a stranger within their midst. And why would they come up to you and invite you home for Sukkot? In other words, the expectations are totally unrealistic.
And this comes down to the thing, Hanok, of relationships. We just kind of expect you're walking down the road and somebody's going to walk up to you and say, hey, come to my sukkah. And they're going to speak that in Hebrew, but you don't know Hebrew. So it's going to be automatically translated into English for you. I don't know. There are ways to do that, though, to spend time with Israelis. One of those is with Hayavel. It's very common for some of the Hayavel folks to be invited up to the town of Harbor Ka. I was a number of years ago and got to spend some time in a sukkah. But this is all about, and this goes to our, I guess, commercial for Connect to Israel tour, that this is about making relationships. Someone asked me, I was actually speaking down in Old Town on the Swanee River 2 days ago, I guess it was now. And someone asked me to define our tour, and I said it's very simple, very simple. It goes to one word, and that's relationships. And so
Yeah.
when you go on a Connect Israel tour, you're not just seeing the sights. You're not just following the Mike Pompeo road that Yeshua walked. Oh wow, that was another subject. Um, you're actually spending time with people on a daily basis. So what
Right.
any real I've been on the road, okay? So I turned my computer on for the first time in 3 days today. Is there really is it fairly quiet in the land right now, or what's going on?
Okay. Here's the thing that's interesting. Security during all the holidays is very, very high.
Yeah.
Now here's an interesting thing. I may have mentioned this on a previous update. I don't know. But a few weeks ago, I was guiding a tour for Tourist Israel, the Jerusalem tour, and there was a young couple, Jewish couple from Canada. And the guy asked me, he said, I one thing that's really surprised me. I said, what's that? He said, I expected to see IDF soldiers all over the streets.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I asked gently, and why would you expect that? He said, well, for security. I said, understand something. You see those young men and women over there? I said, yeah. I said, those are our police and border police. Our police provide security in the cities. The Israel Defense Forces, in all of its arms, provide security for the nation. Why would you have soldiers walking up and down the street or have a sandbagged outpost with a machine gun pointing on Jaffa Road? And he looked at me and he said, I guess what I asked was really stupid. So that's when I'm, exceedingly generous. And I said, no, just misinformed, perhaps.
Yeah. And but here's the other truth of that, Hanok, is that most every Israeli on the road that's walking up and down the street has training with IDF. There are many people carrying firearms, and in Israel, I know this to be, from experience and talking with people in America. To get a concealed permit, you just go down and you go through a 6-hour class on law, basically. And if you can pull the trigger and hit a target at 5 feet away, you get your permit. That doesn't mean you know how to use that thing. Open carry in
Right.
many states, you don't even have to have the permit for it, or there's no training at all. In Israel, people are highly trained, and so security is done. It is a part of the blood of the Israeli is
I think
security.
we're frozen.
I'm good.
Okay.
So yeah, it says unstable. So the very part of the blood of Israel is security, and everybody takes part in that.
It's, I uh when I did the Christian tour last week, there was a young woman and her auntie from Manchester, where our friends, Paulette and her family live, Manchester, England. And she saw two young border police women, and of course they're armed.
Yeah,
So first of all, being British, the idea that the police have weapons
yeah,
is in and of itself unusual.
yeah.
What a society they live in. But okay, kind of la la land. But what was interesting is she asked me if they were real guns, and it's amazing after 10 years of guiding, I so rarely get a question that I've never heard before. Oh, here's another thing. So on the Christian tour last week, one of the guys, he's also from the UK, originally from India. He whispers to me, that he's a retired Catholic priest, but I shouldn't make a big deal out of it. So I'm like, okay. So he came up after me because he didn't understand, because people would ask, like, we would go to the Chapel of the Ascension, where according to Catholic tradition, that's where Yeshua took off. And literally, there's an indent in the rock that is believed to be, again, by the Catholics, Yeshua's footprint as he ascended to heaven. And
Oh.
I explained it. Okay, don't.
I mean, we
I
we
see
know
you
that.
twitching.
Well,
I see you
basically,
twitching.
basically it's because they had just poured concrete there and didn't put the sign for him to not step in it.
So I did a pretty decent job of representing the Catholic view
Oh, good.
and why, to the Catholics and Eastern Orthodox, that's significant. The priest came up because, and people kept saying, well, how do we know that that's the case? So I said, within those churches and denominations, that is a faith commitment, that it is a belief that it has been passed from generation to generation. So the priest afterwards came and congratulated me on giving such an eloquent explanation of why that is Yeshua's footprint. And I thought to myself, it's interesting, no matter what you say and to whom, people are going to hear it any way that they want.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the other thing is, here's something I also may have mentioned. The Byzantine Christian control of Jerusalem is a period of time of approximately 300 years. People are stunned when I say we count Jerusalem as our capital from the time of King David 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Christian domination of our capital is 300 years, 10% of that.
But that 10%, that 10%.
And it's interesting because, yes.
Go ahead.
And what you see of that 10% now are churches on the Mount of Olives, the Via Dolorosa, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and the Christian Quarter. That's in Jerusalem what you see. Now, I can take you to the Cardo, and I can show you the mosaics that they have when Jerusalem was a Christian-controlled city. They have all those mosaics depicting that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't depict anyone that would have been in a Jewish profession or wearing clothing that Jews wore. But other than that, and Mount Zion, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, and then we go up to the Galilee.
No idea. Yeah, no, but I'm talking about just Jerusalem.
Yeah.
When they take a Christian Jerusalem tour,
Mm-hmm.
and people say to me, "Is that it?" Yeah, well, but the problem is, we're at Dominus Flevit, the Lord wept, and I'm talking about Jesus's vision, Yeshua's vision, as he's looking at the temple, knowing what's going on with the Romans, and stating that his prediction, his understanding, if you want, his prophecy is that will be destroyed. But
interesting enough that
they're not familiar with the gospel accounts, Mike.
Yeah.
They're not familiar with the gospel accounts.
Oh, no. But that 10% of history left a scar on the nation that people can focus on because of their desire for a doctrine, their desire for their theology. That 10% of history that you can see there is what the vast majority of people will focus on. I mentioned this. This is kind of a statement I've been thinking about. We haven't talked about it before, so somebody gets our conversation firsthand right here. That even even though I've been speaking for a few days, so please excuse my voice or lack of. Even the fact that people say the Holy Land instead of Israel. I'll say I'm taking a tour to Israel. Oh, you're going to the Holy Land? No, I'm going to Israel. That there is this underlying something. I'm not going to go so far as to call it anti-Semitism. I guess you probably could,
but it is. It is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess it is, because there is this, well, it's in the. I had a pastor many years ago that said, well, as far as this Israeli, the Jews and the Palestinians, I guess it's really the Palestinians' land, because in the back of my King James Bible, in the maps, it says Palestine. The as ironic as that is, that's as simplistic as some people's outlook regarding the land of Israel. So, we're not taking people, we're not taking people to the Holy Land. I'm not taking people on a pilgrimage. I'm not taking people on a vacation, by the way, though they may have gotten vacation time from their boss. We are taking people on an experience in the land of Israel to connect them to the land, the God of that land, and the people of that land. And it may seem to some as a kind of a, semantics of terminology. Well, to quote a number of people through the years, words mean things, and they still mean things. And your words, your wording, represents your attitude towards something. The words you use are the indication and representation of your attitude towards something.
It's very true. Some of these anecdotes you and others know, but as I travel throughout the US, I have found when people will ask me, are you not from around here? Where are you from? And when I say Israel, some people say, like, oh, I've always wanted to go to Israel, but the majority kind of look at you quizzically because they know of Israel, of the Bible, and somehow they must have been asleep for at least the last 7,500 years, that they're unaware of the state of Israel. And sometimes it's led to very, very amusing things. A young woman, fairly recent immigrant, I would think, based on her accent, to the US. When I said I live in Israel, she said, that around here? No. But the best thing was that time I was speaking in Tulsa for our dear friends, Earl and Lenora. And it was late November. And I was under the impression that Oklahoma was the Southwest and it would be warm like the Republic of Texas. No. So I'm, like wrapping a scarf and pulling down a hat and zipping. So the young woman at the desk asked, and I know, yeah, I've told you this many times, said, like, where are you from? Are you from around here? I said, no, not at all. So where are you from? So I'm going to be clever now. I said, the Middle East. And she's like, wow. You mean like Ohio? And when you think about it, it's brilliant. You've got the Northeast, you've got the Midwest, you've got the Southeast. So there's got to be a Middle East.
Middle East, sure.
Somewhere. Yeah. I think where Eddie Chumney used to live in Ohio, that would be Middle East.
That's true. And in 10 days, about 10 days, he'll be in my house, by the way. But I've been asked.
Really? Please
yeah, we're spending some time together next weekend. I've been asked when going over to Israel if you guys have electricity, which is interesting because you can tell them no. They normally just kind of they have a pedal thing to produce generate electricity to run the.
I love that. Do we have electricity?
Yeah. So yeah, no, you guys have to use a hand crank.
No, we're the ones that invented the computer chips. And how we were able to do that with I people are shocked that we're a first world country.
Oh, I know, I know.
I mean, you know, it's, but every once in a while, like someone will say, why did you guys decide to pick 220 voltage? And when you explain that the entire world outside of the United States of America uses that, like the metric system, why did Israel pick the metric system? Why did the world? I told you, I think it was about a month or so ago, I was asked, no offense, but what's up with your money? And I thought they meant the fluctuation
Yeah,
of the rate of shekels to the dollar. Which, by the way, today is 3.86.
yeah. Wow.
3.86. Anyway,
Haven't seen that in years.
because it's not green and white, because our shekel is not green and white like the US currency. So when I said, you know, that the euro, the British pound, the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, you know that those are all colored currencies. Oh, the world uses colored currencies. It's the US that's green and white. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
But again, I was trying to explain to someone that Paul wasn't a Byzantine Christian. And you know, it didn't go over well.
Yeah.
When I explained that the Christian control of Jerusalem happened 300 years after Yeshua was killed. 300 years after the crucifixion.
Yeah. I mean, this goes to the movie that we were talking about, Route 60. Now people have to, and
Yes.
I finally figured this out the other day of the reason I don't go to a lot of movies like that is because it'd be kind of like a builder, a professional contractor going into a house. What you see are the flaws. You see where they didn't get that drywall together, and that trim is terrible, and this is how I look at things. It's just part of what I've done for 30 years now. So I noticed that in Route 60, they did not they did not in any way highlight the industries of the cities along the
No.
way, but instead they showed one
No.
guy that was making leather products with hand tools, and then there's this poor little farmer in one vineyard going down the row with his wooden wheelbarrow. It just really, to me, there was so many places they could have gone. I mean, I went to Barkhan and visited the toilet factory. I mean, they could have at least done that one. It's fascinating
Well,
how you
Mike,
make a toilet seat.
then the person that asked you if we have electricity, if they ask you, do we actually have indoor toilets, you can say that you know for a fact that we at least have toilet seats. Where they're located at this time, you don't know.
Well, and the funny thing about that is the number of tourists that go to Israel and come up to me privately and say, why are there two buttons on the toilet? I mean, I'll never. We were down in Tel
One is for
Aviv.
the water out, and the other is for the water
Yeah,
to
yeah.
splash you. One of the two.
We were in Tel Aviv one time with a group. This is BH before Hanok, and we went to a hotel or a restaurant for our last night dinner, and I'm out of I'm standing outside and I'm waiting for the group to all come out, and all of a sudden they're laughing, and I'm thinking I didn't notice them drinking that much. They were hilariously laughing, and all these people are running back into the restaurant with their cameras. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And they finally explained to me that this hotel or this restaurant had a toilet seat that it cleaned itself. So when you hit the flush thing,
Oh,
it actually the
yeah,
seat
yeah.
went around and cleaned itself, and they were taking videos of this. And who's the primitive ones now?
You know, it really astounds me. And now, okay, if someone hasn't traveled abroad, I could see them being naive. I mean, I've guided people not only for whom Israel was the first and only international destination,
Yeah.
but they've never been in a city larger than Beaumont, Texas. So it's like, like everything's like a big shock. They look at the light rail in Jerusalem and they're astounded by it. By the way, the second line that's being constructed in Jerusalem now, that's the second of 4 light rail lines, will actually have some underground stops as well.
Oh,
So that should be very interesting.
all
Lots of
right.
stuff going on,
Oh, great.
lots of construction all over the country.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, we got to close this thing up. And as we're talking about all the technology of Israel, I'm just kind of getting some ideas that we might have stories to tell after November 17th regarding the Israel gals. Not the Israel guys, as are on High Avel, but the
Gals.
our our own dear beloved Israel gals.
Show enough.
All right, take care. We
Enjoy
will
the rest of Sukkot, guys.
hey,
Talk
yeah,
soon.
you too. See ya.
Bye bye now, Mike.